Welcome back to the channel. Ride along with us on our latest adventure. Northwestern Montana provided us what seemed like a fall-winter season that went on forever, with cold snaps, snow, partial clearing, and then more snow. Briefly teased with a few spring-like days, then more fall-like weather, we finally started to feel temps warm, making that first ride of spring unignorable. So friend Dan and I hatched up a day ride that would take us south down the east side of Flathead Lake, along Montana 35 and to Polson. From there, we'd head west into the rolling hills and cattle ranch country. This was a similar ride to last year's excursion, covering some familiar routes but adding some new roads as well. Although partly obscured by the clouds, the Mission Mountains are still spectacular. As is the case with most of the roads in this part of the country, pavement soon turns to gravel. For now, the rain that had fallen this morning helped keep the dust down, and I enjoyed being back in the countryside, communing with the cows.
So apparently we're headed to the National Bison Range. Apparently they don't let motorcyclists ride through there because it scares the wildlife, but Dan assures me there's a little picnic table and we can sit down and have a cup of coffee and a snack.
Situated south of the town of Moise on tribal lands, the range covers some 18,500 acres, providing habitat for bison, elk, pronghorn sheep, black bears, and coyotes. Depending on the vehicle, there is a sliding fee schedule to drive through the reserve. Motorcycles and ATVs are not permitted. There is a nice park that is open to all, however, with restrooms and picnic tables. It was time for a break. After many decades of back-and-forth court cases with the federal government, the Salish and Kootenai tribes now manage the bison range, preserving its remarkable resource for years to come. On the range website, there's a very interesting piece covering the history and how the range came to be. There is also a video titled "In the Spirit of Atatice." I'll put a link in the description. After a snack and a few sips of coffee, we were back on the road. The weather was clearing and temperatures rising to very comfortable levels. On the downside, having dropped my eyeglasses in the gravel and then accidentally stepping on them, I was now trying to focus my left eye's vision through some nasty scratches. A trip to Costco Vision Center was now on my list of must-dos. With plenty of wide-open two-lane tarmac, high-level scattered clouds, and patches of blue sky, we were now headed north toward Hot Springs area. Last year, I traversed Highway 382 and in that ride video, briefly covered the geological wonder of what are called the Camas Prairie ripples. It's an amazing example of how a sudden massive flood shaped the countryside. Be sure to check out that video for more information. Before the road drops into the wide Camas Prairie Valley, there's a nice curvy section. Once out in the open flats, I felt the need to let the big Katoom stretch its legs. At the north end of the valley, there's a plaque that describes the ripples and the Missoula flood. We stopped there to take it all in and plan the next leg of our adventure. Observing the hillside to our northeast, we noted a four-wheeler on a road that wasn't familiar to us. Sparked by curiosity and looking for more dirt routes to cover, we consulted a map and determined that the road above us was Wilkes Gulch Road, one that would allow us to weave our way back through the countryside back to Highway 93. It was rare to encounter another vehicle on this road. This guy stopped for a short chat, and then we carried on. Here and there, we even encountered a tiny bit of mud. As the day progressed, the sun dried out the landscape, and the dusty conditions increased. At one point, Dan had spied two elk lounging beside a clump of brush. At first, they didn't seem too concerned, but soon slowly rose and sauntered off. Wildlife, one of the wonderful perks of getting out and away from the city.
Wow, that's a big house.
Not too far down the road, I spotted a huge building. Looking like new construction, and resembling something like a big hotel or casino, I couldn't tell what it was. As we started to pass by, we could see huge pergolas and lots of brightly colored flags adorning the fence line. Later, Dan would say that it was a Buddhist retreat. As it turns out, he was correct. There is a retreat under construction out here in the ranch lands. It's been under construction for many years. Even so, I would never have dreamed of finding such a thing out here in cattle country. Climbing in elevation, we had a wonderful view of the distant peaks and valleys of Lake County. The video footage and still shots don't do it justice. Simply beautiful scenery on a beautiful spring day. Barely captured here in my mirror were the two huge rock trucks that rumbled past us, that were either part of the retreat construction efforts or the new road we saw some distance ahead in the valley below. Cresting the pass and checking the map, it was time for a break to wash down the dust. We could see and hear a dump truck heading up the hill towards us, so after a short break and snapping some photos, we headed down the hill. Crossing the valley, we spied a large bald eagle circling overhead. Approaching the corner, there was a definite stench of death emanating from somewhere in the landscape. I suspect Mr. Eagle was either guarding his next meal or had been scared off.
Somewhere around here it smells like a kill.
That's probably why he's hanging around.
I think so.
Not wanting to interrupt nature more than we had, it was time to move on.
We can get out to Highway 93 a different way than we've done before. Are you okay with that?
I'm wonderful with that.
We're gonna go that way. It's going to take us up to by Big Arm.
Kill.
And with that, we were off for new adventure. Winding our way east, we made our way back down to Highway 93 and the beautiful Flathead Lake.
And we're coming back down to my beautiful Flathead Lake. I guess I can call it mine now. It was a good ride through the mountains and farmlands.
It was great to have ridden some new tracks and to finally be able to enjoy some great weather. The rest of the ride north on 93 is well familiar, but seeing the sunlight dancing on the water of the lake is always a treat. Once back in Summers, it was time to reflect on the day's ride and say our goodbyes before heading home.
Adios, my friend!
Take care, Don. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Dan, for leading us through some spectacular scenery. Here's to improving weather and to more two-wheeled adventure. If you like this video, be sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We do appreciate it.